We all know that one of the biggest film franchises in the world, obviously you think about MCU, you think about Star Wars, you think about DC, James Bond, but you cannot have a conversation about the biggest, most significant film franchises if you don't also include in that conversation Harry Potter. Now, I myself am not a big Potterhead, Rob. My wife is. My wife's a huge Potterhead. I'm not, but I enjoy the Harry Potter movies. I like them. Well, it looks like HBO Max, which we know is all sorts of desperate right now, but it looks like they are now in the early stages of developing a live-action Harry Potter TV series. Yes, a live-action Harry Potter TV series. This just came out this morning. This is coming to us from the folks over at Variety, and they write the following. A Harry Potter series is in very early development at HBO Max, Variety has learned from sources. Rumors that a show set within the Wizarding world have persisted for some time. Now it seems those plans are moving ahead. The plans are now moving ahead. Though no writers or talent are currently attached to the project, there is no word yet on what the focus of the show would be or what part of the Harry Potter timeline it would focus on should the series move ahead. Variety's reached out to HBO Max and Warner Brothers for a comment and will update should they respond. So, now listen, Rob, we've been talking about recently the whole we found out only recently just how badly HBO and their viewership dropped off once there was no more Game of Thrones to watch. Like, we knew there would be some, we didn't realize how much it would be. Variety reported a week or two ago that the numbers was actually a 51% drop in their main viewership demographic, almost 40% of their overall viewership. 40% of their overall viewership has disappeared since there was no more Game of Thrones to watch. And we know they haven't had the surge in HBO Max since that they were really hoping for anywhere near it. So now they're reaching for the really popular stuff, right? They moved up Kong versus Godzilla, which was actually a good move. Moving that up was a good move. We now know they're producing 2 Game of Thrones prequels, and now a Harry Potter. Rob, this is a franchise that just started ticking at the $1 billion mark when these things would come out. It seems to make a lot of sense. The Fantastic Beasts series, which I don't think has been all that bad. I haven't liked it as much as a lot, but I particularly like the last one. But it hasn't been getting the attention or the buzz that the Harry Potter universe generally seems to get. Developing a Harry Potter series is a little bit of a risky thing because, you're risking the reputation of the IP and everything, but that is a risk worth taking. Doing a live action series seems to be a no-brainer. Maybe it'll backfire, maybe it won't. Rob, you're hearing about this morning too. What are your thoughts on the idea? Is this a good move for HBO at this point, doing a Harry Potter series? And do you think it will actually come to fruition?
Bruh. I think it's a fantastic idea, especially if you get the original cast back and you make it an adult show. The Harry Potter audience has grown up with Harry Potter. They're now in their 20s and 30s, and let's face it, who doesn't like Harry Potter? We're all Harry Potter fans to some extent. If you were to bring back as much of the original cast as you can and tell a story about what are these characters? I mean, they did that with the Cursed Child, but really, and I don't mean going Game of Thrones with necessarily the sex and the violence, but a real adult show. I think it would be a monster hit, especially if J.K. Rowling oversees it all and she handpicks her collaborators and they do something that is unique and interesting and canonical. I think it's a no-brainer. I would watch it. And I think it's what HBO needs. I think it's like Amazon getting Lord of the Rings, doing a new HBO series, I think it'd be incredible. And you use the show to rebrand HBO Max. You relaunch it as Warner Brothers Plus or Warner Brothers Gold or Warner Brothers whatever. And you that's where you get away from HBO, because in every idiot that has not paid any attention to HBO Max, you rebrand Paramount Plus is rebranding, CBS is rebranding to Paramount Plus, start a new Harry Potter show, announce it, and when it debuts, you rebrand HBO Max to Warner Brothers whatever.
Yeah, which is really something they should have done right from the beginning.
Yep.
So I think, look, That's a massive assumption, though, that if they
Sure.
do a show, that they would do it with the original cast. I mean, because I think there's only like maybe a 30% chance they could get the original cast back to do a HBO series. But let me ask you this. I mean, obviously, if you can get the actual now grown-up adult original cast of Harry Potter back, that'll be huge. That'll be huge.
Dude, it's AT&T will back that truck of money up. It's what they want.
But will they? Will they? Because really, when you break it down on return on investment, when you break down the ROI on it, how much money can you actually put into it? So the question then becomes, if they do, is it still worth it for them to do a Harry Potter that is like set at Hogwarts but doesn't involve the original cast? Like, is this still a good idea trying to capitalize on the IP if they don't use the original cast? What do you think about that?
It depends. You know, I think it depends. If you're going to do a Harry Potter series, you do what they should have done with the Star Wars universe. You make your first season with the original cast, you back up that money truck to them, and then you use that original cast to introduce the cast that will move forward, and then you can bring back the original cast when you need them. You know, and it's something that by design starts out with the original cast, and if it does well, they can see. But at the same time, I mean, you know, Hogwarts, I want to know, you know, and Fantastic Beasts touches on this. I want to know, if you're Harry Potter and you're a wizard, what do you do for the rest of your life? I mean, seriously, like, you've gone through Hogwarts, like,
you work at the Ministry of Magic, Rob. That's where everybody goes.
I mean, I want to know what if you're a wizard and you're not Voldemort, but what if you're like, I don't know, like Diabolic or something? Or Lupin, you're a criminal, or you're just a dude, like a mercenary out in the world using your magic to, like, I don't know, get rich and help people at the same time. I mean, there's so many things that you could do with that universe, and show us that. Because all we know of that universe, I mean, Fantastic Beasts have done a good job of showing us the world, but I want to see, like, what if you're a wizard like now, dude? What if you're a movie pundit, but you also went to Hogwarts? What's that like?
Yeah. What's your regular job if you're not working at the Ministry of Magic or a wand shop? What else?
Yeah,
what else can you do? But
what else are you going to do?
Here's another big question for this, Rob. Now, again, I say this as somebody who's not a major Potterhead. And I don't want to go into the TMZ-ness of it all, but the question will come up. What role does J.K. Rowling play in this? Because let's face it, Harry Potter is only Harry Potter because of J.K. Rowling. I mean, she created that whole world. She shepherded every single movie. It is, and she owns the whole damn thing. It's hers. It belongs to her. It's one of those properties that Warner Brothers was not able to actually get the rights for from the owner. She is still the final word. Even at Universal City Walk, like, they have the whole Harry Potter world, which is great, by the way. But she had to approve every detail, all kind of stuff. Of course, JK has come under some criticism lately. We're not going to go into all the reasons why. We'll leave that for TMZ garbage things to cover. But she has come under some fire recently. Do you move forward? Like, I personally, from a creative point of view, I don't see how on earth you do Harry Potter without J.K. Rowling, the creator, the writer, the person who is the ultimate boss of the whole thing. I don't know if you can do it without her. How do you say, do you think this is going to be a factor at all? Do you think this is an issue, or do you think this is really a non-issue?
Oh, no, I think it's going to be a factor. And I think, you know, we have to stand up to ideological fascism. You know, you have to come out and say, look, man, we have a complicated, difficult world. And I think what's going to start to have to happen is somebody might have views that you don't like. And I think we have to start having a dialogue about, how do we get along? If you don't like someone's idea, what are you going to do? Banish them to the cornfield, like in the Twilight Zone episode, It's a Good Life? We all have to talk about these things. And by the way, use the new show to address it. Make some of the stories about that very thing, where you can attack these issues head on, you know? I mean, and what better way to do it? That's what Star Trek and the Twilight Zone did in the 60s. Those difficult issues that you couldn't address head on and say a regular TV show, because standards and practices wouldn't let you. Like, you couldn't talk about the Vietnam War on TV But you could have an episode of Star Trek called A Private Little War, where you've got the villagers and the hill people. I mean, astute viewers realized, oh, I get it. This is a Vietnam allegory. And you could deal with those tough issues, but in the context of a fantasy show. And that's what great science fiction and fantasy, and to a certain extent horror, does. It deals with those difficult societal issues within the context of a science fiction fantasy context. And Harry Potter's perfect for that. You know, kids are getting older, they become adults. What happens, like, when you're dealing with different points of view? What happens when you can have schisms in Hogwarts based on ideological principles? Or I think you absolutely could do a show and make her at the forefront of it. Why not?
All right, guys, question is, what do you think about this news coming out on Variety this morning? That looks like HBO Max is trying to put together a Harry Potter series. Can you make it work? I think everybody would agree this could be huge if it's all the original actors. I have my doubts that it would go that way. I don't know if they can get everybody. Is it still something that will get people excited if it's set at a different time or a different set of characters within the Hogwarts world? What do you guys think? Jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys.